Martin, good morning. It's a busy time of the year for the school, probably busier than usual, but there's been a little bit of disruption for one or two things, bank holidays and the teachers' strike, but things are pretty well normal as you can possibly make.
They're as normal as we can make them. We've got things like coronations getting in the way. With celebrations that we need to have, and the strikes continue, and we need to respect that and respect those members who are striking. But we've got, the exams have started. We've got Year 11 students halfway through a 2-day art exam, 10-hour exam. So we've got to keep things ticking along. And I've been saying it all year, haven't I? But the Year 11s and the Year 13s, their attitude and their focus is fantastic. Their attendance during the strike days has been brilliant, and we've had enough staff that we were able to use to give them as good a deal as possible. And the first formal exam seems to have gone, or halfway through anyway, seems to be going really well. We've got 100% attendance at it. So we're trying to keep their lives as normal as possible in the middle of, it is quite a disruptive time. I think we lose 3 Mondays out of 4 or 5 this term as well. So the staff have been great because they've been really flexible and really adaptable. And I think we all know that regardless of everything else that's going on, the focus has got to be on getting these youngsters through the exams in the next few weeks.
And they realise it as well, don't they? They're, as you say, focused for the whole thing.
Yeah, and they've been great. And we've changed a few rules so that, during the strike days, for example, we've allowed them to come in non-uniform. Anything that just changes it slightly for them, but I think they get it this time. I think they really get the fact that we're doing everything we can. So then it's down to them to do their bit. But certainly, they're just a lovely group of young people as well. They still in the middle of the kind of stresses, and they stop and talk and have a chat and tell me what's going well and what's not going so well. And lots of schools talk about student voice and they formalise it sometimes, but actually it's about a little chat you have on the corridor about it's going really well in this subject, but I could do with a bit more help in that subject, and that gives me something to go to work with.
I'm glad you mentioned student voice there, because one thing that we've started this week is the Fusion podcast, the first ever Lipson Co-operative Academy podcast, and what a cracking podcast it is, and all from the students.
It's brilliant, isn't it? I sat and watched it yesterday in here. Linda Aware, the drama teacher who since September has done a fantastic job. The kids absolutely love her. So she's given it a bit of guidance, and she certainly steered them. But that podcast, for those of you that haven't seen it yet, it is purely the students doing it. It's better than ours, isn't it, Rick?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
I'm sure it is.
They've got a great production team. I mean, as you say, everything is all the students. It's virtually nothing from outside.
And it's tackling serious issues as well, isn't it? So it's hitting diversity head on, and we pride ourselves at Lipson. I think this is one of the advantages we have over some of the other Lipson schools. Our demographic is slightly different. We've got Lucas sitting in the room. He oversees 20% plus of our youngsters. For them, English is a second language. We speak 33 different languages at Lipson, and we celebrate it because that diversity, I think, spreads into other areas. So I think our student and staff body are probably more tolerant and aware than some of the other predominantly white working class Plymouth schools. So I think we have a real advantage, but we need to drive it home. And the podcast is a really good example of us celebrating our differences, but wanting to make sure that everybody feels welcome and everybody's given the same treatment and the same opportunities.
Brilliant. We'll put up on the end of the video how people can listen or watch the podcast.
In fact, I would strongly advise you probably press pause on this one and watch that one instead.
Okay, but it's something we take very seriously at the school, the diversity, the inclusivity, the well-being, the mental and physical well-being of the students, and we get assessed on things like that, don't we? We've had one recently.
Yeah, we have audits, and we're tested and judged on everything, Rick, nowadays, and probably rightly so. But it's important that we keep feeding the pig and not just weighing it. So it's about the way we do things every day, and another good example of that is the safeguarding team. So we've got 2 new members of staff. I thought the 2 that we lost, I didn't know how we were going to replace them. Jude and Lisa were such a part of Lipson and did such a brilliant job. But the 2 new staff we've got, Jess and Caroline have come in, And I actually think they're going to take it to another level. Their expertise and subject knowledge is phenomenal, but they're also brilliant with the kids and brilliant with the families and brilliant with the social workers. And so we're in a really good place with that, but it's one of those things, a bit like behaviour, you just can't take it for granted. But what they do, the safeguarding team at Lipson, is they act as a filter, so it allows the bulk of staff to concentrate on what matters in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
But unless they were doing the work that they do behind the scenes, some of these kids wouldn't get to the classroom. So it's a real warm welcome to those two. They've made a massive impact in a short period of time, and I'm really pleased to have them.
Another student initiative that we've seen this week has been the Student Parliament, who organised a round school litter pick.
Now this one came from a parent.
All right.
So Mr. Connaughty, I'd love to give the students the credit. The students have been doing it all year, to be fair to them, so that's not quite fair. But then when you get a parent contact the school and say, I'd like to make a contribution, I can't help but notice when I walk around the outside of the school, and his parent, he's got some cracky students in school himself, but he came in on his bike and rolled his sleeves up and got stuck in with the Student Parliament, and I don't know how many bags of rubbish they collected, but it was a significant number, and the school looks a lot better for it. So if we can get parent volunteers like that, we're not going to turn that down. And Mr. Connaughty, well, the Connaughtys are great supporters of the school, and so it's really nice to be able to do some work with them.
Brilliant. We shouldn't end this vlog without some good wishes to one of our members of staff who had rather a nasty tumble.
Yeah, so you won't have had, the Year 11 parents won't have had your weekly message from Mr. Mitchell, because he's laid up. He's not in a great place actually. He's come off his bike. He's had a nasty accident while out with his son. He's got a bit of concussion. He's got some staples in the back of his head, and he's not going to be the good-looking Mr. Mitchell that we've all become used to for a few days and weeks. Really hoping we get him back next week, because it's key for the Year 11s. But more importantly, Stu, if you're watching, get well soon. The kids are missing you, the staff miss you, but take your time and only come back when you're ready.
So say all of us.
Thank you very much.